Hello and a warm welcome to the Federal. I'm Neelu Vyas. Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, Manish Sisodiya, was arrested by the CBI on charges of alleged irregularities in the Delhi liquor case. Today, he was produced in the Rouse Avenue Court, and the court granted 5 days of custody to the CBI till March 4th. Aam Aadmi Party leaders and Karyakartas all across the country staged protests saying that this is dirty politics played by the BJP. Now, how will Manish Sisodiya's arrest impact Aam Aadmi Party and its national politics? And also, is this a move to deflect attention from the Adani-Hindenburg report? Join our special panel, and let me introduce all of them to you. I'm joined by Sanjay Rana, who's a BJP supporter and a political analyst. Thank you, Sanjay, for joining on the Federal. We have
Good evening, Neelu.
Puneet Nicholas Yadav, who's a senior journalist with the Federal. Thank you, Puneet. We have TK Raj Lakshmi, who's the deputy editor from the Frontline. Thank you, Raji, for joining on the Federal. And we also have Chandrasuta Dogra, who's a journalist, senior journalist, and also an Aam Aadmi Party supporter. Chandra, thank you for joining. And let me begin by Puneet. Puneet, my first question to you is that now, since the court has granted 5 days of custody to Manish, I mean, he is going to be in the custody for the next 5 days. Do you see this as some kind of a huge setback to the Aam Aadmi Party and Kejriwal, or it is just a procedural thing and probably in 5 days' time he might get bail?
See, one wouldn't want to preempt what the courts would do in 5 days' time, but if past experience in such cases is anything to go by, I do not think that it will be as swift for Mr. Sisodia to be out of jail so soon. But at the same time, as far as how big the first part of your question is concerned, how much of a setback it is for Mr. Kejriwal, I guess in matters such as these, it's no longer an issue of what is a setback or not, but an issue of how one plays it politically. And we've seen these sort of arrests, these sort of investigations against a whole litany of political leaders from the opposition. And it is rather unfortunate that I think we're no longer in a space where we talk about whether the allegations have merit, whether the allegations deserve an investigation, whether there has been any wrongdoing that is committed. It is outright political vendetta that takes center stage, and that is where your conversation begins and ends at. So I think, I mean, that is what this case is also going to be all about. I don't think anybody... See, we've had Mr. Satyendra Jain behind bars for a long time now.
Right.
In other states, there are other political leaders who've been in and out of prison for all sorts of allegations. Mr. Sanjay Raut came out of prison very recently. I think if you did a quick dipstick survey and asked people what exactly were the allegations against these leaders, why were they behind bars, what did the agencies say, what happened in the court, I don't think anybody would be able to tell you. I don't think even Ms. Dogra here would be able to tell you what kind of allegations Mr. Sisodia is in for. And it's all simple, brazen politics that these kind of cases have been reduced to. And that is where this is going to play out.
Right. Raj Lakshmi, I'll come to you now. That the allegations which BJP is charging Aam Aadmi Party with, that Manish Sisodiya has not cooperated, he has destroyed evidence, then of course, all that there have been alleged irregularities, the profit margin has been shot up. If you look at the draft of the policy from 5% to 12%, all these allegations if what Puneet is saying, there is just a pure political vendetta which is playing out, and also looking at the history of the past cases. But how much merit do these charges really hold? And especially given the fact that it's a policy matter which was decided by a state government, and then some kind of a ham-handedness is observed at the level of LG, at the level of the central government, and now it's playing out completely. So, how much water do you think these charges would really hold?
Yeah, absolutely, Neelu, because I think it's still at the level of investigation. I don't think anything has been sort of established as yet. For there's no trail that leads to the doors of Mr. Sisodia. Because there were, I think, previous inspections and raids in his house, which out of which in fact nothing really sort of came out. Now, in fact, what is surprising is also this the need to arrest him. The CBI could have prolonged the questioning. It could have taken maybe a week, or maybe sort of questioned him for 5 days. He was not skipping the country. He was not trying to flee the process of investigation. So this open intimidation of the opposition. We saw what happened to Mr. Khera a few days ago. For something as
What do you think, Raji, could be the reason for his immediate arrest?
Exactly, because it fails logic, as to why should you sort of arrest him, unless you're trying to use some other tactics to get information out of him, which I hope they do not, and that it won't be sort of sustainable also in a court of law, because so far they have not really been able to establish anything other than what has been there in the realm of charges. The policy has been scrapped. Now, we also learned that the policy was approved by the LG at some point.
Yes.
And the arm of the party has been saying that the policy had been put out in public domain, the draft policy. It had been put out in public domain for nearly, I think, 3 weeks, etc. Now, I think, and so the allegation of if he, in his personal capacity, sort of tweaked the policy to favor X, Y, or Z, it's not really established. And if this continues, if he continues to maintain that he has had nothing to do with that aspect, and that there's no really trail of any sort of money leading to his, some sort of alleged sort of wrongdoing on his part, it's all sort of bound to fall flat on its face. And in fact, Neelu, this is also very interesting that several opposition parties, I think with the exception of the Congress, have sort of condemned this.
Yeah.
It's also I think somewhat unusual. It's not that for instance, if there is a case of fraud, or if there's a case of financial impropriety, in fact, political parties do sort of take the time in sort of responding and reacting. Now it's quite surprising. Several of them have including the left have come out and said that this is absolutely targeting, this is witch hunting, and then there is no state where a non BJP party is in power where such tactics of intimidation have not been used. So there's a certain pattern. In fact, Mr. Khera Singh itself, I think the Aam Aadmi Party can sort of gain from this whole experience by playing victim. I think the BJP has willy-nilly given it a handle to.
Yeah, absolutely. But let me take this question now to Sanjay Rana. Sanjay Rana, what was the immediate trigger for arresting Mr. Manish Sisodiya, when there is actually no evidence which you have been able to prove? And what Sanjay Singh says, that the BJP is trying to cross all limits of dictatorship. Why does BJP want to hear things like this?
Good evening, Nilu, and good evening to your fellow panelists. It's not immediate arrest. Obviously, this investigation has been going on since the 22nd of July, 2022, and obviously the CBI has done multiple, questioning to Mr. Sisodiya, but we need to understand why it's happened. If I'll give you the complete chronology, obviously the first meeting happened. I'm talking about that cabinet meeting happened on 5th of February 2021, where everyone was struggling during the COVID, and obviously the report sent on 21st of May 2021 to LG for approval, and LG has raised 6 points obviously they say there are 6 points on which he has objection. But in
Hmm.
spite of that, cabinet has taken a call, because cabinet, when we talk about the cabinet, any policy if it's going to implement, is we need to, obviously any government has to take a cabinet approval. And who were there in the cabinet? Obviously, Mr. Manish Sisodiya, Mr. Satyendra Jain, and Mr. Galot were the part of that cabinet, and they have given approval on 17th of November 2021. They implemented. I'm coming to the second point, which is very important for all of us to understand how much revenue Delhi has lost. Obviously, they have divided Delhi into 32 zones, and they were saying that each zone will contribute about 300 crore rupees annually and per annum. Okay, but it's not exactly happened, number one. Number two, if you look at the sale, obviously sale has been increased. If you look at 2019 and
But I
2022
haven't
data,
seen any details, Sanjay, of the losses which Delhi has
no, no,
incurred. I haven't seen
yeah,
any BJP leader come
I,
out with the details of those losses.
Yes, I'll give you a number. Just give me 30, 40 seconds. I'll finish my point. Then we can I'll give you the answer for the question which you're raising right now. When we talk about sale, obviously the sale, if you look at 2019, 2022, per month consumption was 1,32,000 lakh liters in Delhi, and it's gone up to 2,45,000. Sale
Hmm.
has been increased. If you look at the age limit was 25, reduced to 21. If we look at the restaurant timings, it's been increased to 3 a.m. Everything has been increased. If you look at the whiskey sale has been increased 59%, wine sale has been increased to 87%. The revenue was dipped by
No, but this
39%.
was a
Why it was?
policy matter. Don't you think that
No,
this
no,
is
no, no.
a policy
No,
matter
no. Policy.
decided by
I'm
a
coming.
state government?
No,
And do you
no,
you
no.
try and incriminate Mr. Sisodia for this?
Yes, agree. I'm coming to the point. Let me finish one by one. Okay. And if you look at the revenue's gone down, why it's gone down? Because of its policy. If you look at their percentage, commission or whatever percentage you say, this has been increased to 12%. And obviously, as per the report is saying, they were getting a cut of 6%. I'm not saying as per the report, I'm saying whatever the social media or media information which I have. Third point, which is very important, they have used 166 mobile phone,
Which
out of which
report? I'm interested in knowing which report you are talking about.
obviously is a
We may
CBI
have seen
report.
that report.
CBI.
What is that report
Yeah,
you are talking about?
a CBI report. CBI report. It's all there. Is drafted. It's not a one day exercise. They have been doing from last many months. I'm talking about the mobile phone. 12 mobile phone were used by Mr. Shishodeh, which is destroyed. Number three, which is very important for all of us to understand. Those who are arrested, they have taken the name of Mr. Shishodia. What CBI is going to do? They are going to investigate. They are going to ask the question. Obviously, cross questioning is going to happen. Both the party will sit opposite to each other. Then cross questioning will happen. Please understand, if any, I understand he is a minister, but he has a responsibility. If anything goes wrong or anything is going wrong, as a minister, head of that particular department, he is responsible to answer. If revenue is going down, why is the revenue is going down? Because
No,
of some
Sanjay,
policies. Why
Sanjay,
policies?
Sanjay, for
And
few
number four,
seconds, for few
then
seconds,
10
I would
seconds, 10
believe. No,
seconds,
no, no,
10
listen
seconds,
to me, listen to me,
10
listen
seconds.
to me. No, listen to me. For few seconds, if I believe what you're saying, but the same kind of agility, the same kind of alacrity doesn't happen when it comes to investigating Adani.
Okay,
Where is that
can I finish? Then
agility?
I'll come to Adani. Well, I'll come to Adani.
No,
Okay.
my point is
10 seconds,
the
then
same
come to
kind of
Adani.
agility, the
I'll
same
come to
kind of.
Adani. Yeah, I'll come to Adani. Simple as that. Please understand why they have taken back, revoked the policy on the 28th. Investigation ordered by LG on 22nd of July 20th. They have taken their policy back. It was so fantastic policy. Then they should not have taken this policy back. Number one. Coming to your question, which is talking about Adani, where the money, where the fraud is. If Aam Aadmi Party or any opposition party feels that Adani has done any fraud, there is a court. I understand if none of the agencies are listening, we can go to Supreme Court and file the case. Number one. Number two, if you look at the Hindenburg report, it's categorically mentioned. You are senior journalist and you know everything. Categorically mentioned in the report. It's not 104 pages, it's not only 98 pages. It's categorically mentioned. We believe and we think. Why they are challenging Adani to come to US court? There is a reason behind it. Because in the US court, this will not fly because it's categorically mentioned. We believe and we think. That means they think it's something happened, something went wrong, but they do not have a proof. That's why we cannot rely on the report which Hindenburg is saying. Still opposition party or any party, if believe that Adani has done anything fraud, obviously courts are there, Supreme Court is there, they can go and file the case, and obviously court will order for the investigation. Sorry, for the investigation, and no one can bypass Supreme Court of India. So it's very easy to blame on the TV and very easy to write on Twitter. But it's very important for all of us to understand how things are happening.
No,
Please
but you
understand
feel that it's
something.
not where, no, BJP is not playing vendetta politics when it comes to arresting Manish Sisodiya. And then
No,
I'll come to Chandra.
no. Why vendetta policy? I don't see. If he's a responsible person, if he's done anything wrong, obviously he's answerable to that. And if it is not done anything wrong, he will come out. So why all the politics is happening? Obviously, if Manish Sisodiya is so clean, white, his whatever he has is white, then must come out from that allegation, whatever the allegations are there. We need to believe in our agency. We need to trust on our agencies, and we need to wait for the result. You and me cannot decide. Obviously, the matter is there with the court. Number one. Another 5 seconds, Neelu, another 5 seconds. One of our fellow panelists was talking about Satyendra Jain. Satyendra Jain bail is not granted by court, not by CBI, not by central government, not by BJP government and any government. It's a case is going on in the court, and court is denying to give a bail. So we need to understand where this case is and why they're not getting a bail. There must be some reason behind it. And court is for everyone, for you, for me, everyone. It's same. We cannot say that court is taking a favor to Bharatiya Janata Party or so. So that's my thing, and we need to trust our agencies.
Let me get in a response from Chandra. Chandra, if there is nothing to hide, if Aam Aadmi Party is totally clean, then why not face the trial? And but why protest? Why put up a political show before the entire country?
Because whether it is the Aam Aadmi Party and the general public and many other opposition parties, they really have lost faith in the investigating agencies. And I'll just, it's not the CBI, but I'm just going to read out a little what the Supreme Court has said about the unprecedented third extension given to the director of the to the Enforcement Directorate Director Sanjay Kumar Mishra. The Supreme Court has termed that third extension as illegal. Isn't that curious? Why should a person be given, and that to Enforcement Directorate, which we all know today has become, it's like used as a, what should we say, a battering ram of the government, and it goes wherever it wishes to and starts opening investigations.
But does this premise,
that is just one point. That is just one point. I'm coming to the other thing. The BJP spokesperson just said that the Hindenburg report doesn't really prove anything. There is no trail, there is no this, etc. But there is a huge question mark, and it has created such a huge controversy in the country. Surely we don't really need to go straight to the Supreme Court to find out what's happened. one of the investigating agencies should open an investigation into it. Why is that not being done? That should be the preliminary.
But Chandra, does this premise, this premise on what you're saying, does it completely absolve Manish Sisodiya
from the charges? Not.
Because what BJP is saying, it's talking about a profit margin which was shot up from 5% to 12%. Then they said he changed so many phones. There are hard disks which have been recovered. And then the original draft file, it didn't come from the excise department, but they recovered that file from Manish Sisodiya's office. And that's how they're incriminating. So is the Aam Party not trying to prove all this?
Yes, no. What I'm saying is that if all this is what the CBI has uncovered, why is his name not there in both the charge sheets so far? Manish Sisodiya's name is not there in any charge sheet, and yet he has been arrested. So I don't know if it is sufficient grounds to just arrest a person, a minister who's actually doing a lot of good work in the government. So then I would just go to my next point, which is that this is not vendetta politics as such. I would say it is a political game plan.
Good work. I remember when Rajiv Gandhi, he did a lot of good work in IT. But when the Bofors scandal came, people leveled all sorts of charges.
So that's what I'm saying, that if the CBI is able to prove that yes, there has been a corruption, there has been certain wrongdoing, fair enough. But just before that, to just throw things around in the air on social media, in the public discourse, this is all being done just to discredit the party without a shred of evidence.
Okay.
Either you have something,
you can't
just
Sanjay, I'll come to you.
Just to discredit, which seems as if it's a very, very deliberate attempt, and it is a political game plan. It's not just political vendetta, which is a very small thing. I think it's a political game plan to kind of stop
Okay.
the Aam Aadmi Party in its tracks, because it's growing very fast and the BJP
Okay.
is very
No,
uncomfortable with
no.
it.
I'll take this point to Puneet now. Puneet, what do you think could be BJP's game plan if it is trying to discredit a party like Aam Aadmi Party? What will BJP really gain? Because BJP is doing the same with so many other opposition parties. So does that make Aam Aadmi Party the biggest threat for BJP, as what Chandra is also saying? What do you feel?
Before I answer that, Nilu, if you may, if I may, just one point of correction that I wanted to make.
Yeah.
When you were summing up what I had said in my initial response,
Okay.
I think there was a slight misunderstanding. I did not say that this is entirely a case of political vendetta and there is
Okay.
nothing else.
Yeah.
What I said was it is unfortunate
Okay.
that we are not talking about what really has gone into this
Right.
case, but because of the performance of this government, of the current BJP government, and the way we've seen investigating agencies being used or misused, the perception is that this is nothing but political vendetta.
Okay.
Whether there is wrongdoing, I think that is something that one would not want to comment on because of a whole lot of other reasons. I think that the courts are should be deciding that. Now, the point of what the BJP stands to gain, I would rather say that this is actually going to haunt the BJP a little. It's I think when you target people, or when the perception is that you are targeting people from your opposition, and there is an entire pattern that has now developed over the last 8.5 years. In the first half of the budget session, when several members from the opposition raised this issue, the Prime Minister made a statement saying only people who have something to hide are complaining. Now that is all very well, but the point is, if you look at the whole rank and file of the BJP, you will find an entire panoply of people who, whose conduct, whether in government, whether in public life, has not been, above board, and a whole lot of them are people who the BJP till a few months or a few years ago used to go hammer and tongs against.
Right.
So in this particular case, and now you've basically established a whole record of the last 8.5 years of either what, for instance, Mr. Kharge said during his speech in Parliament, that this washing machine culture that the BJP has tried to bring into politics, and I'm sure this is also something that the Aam Aadmi Party has been talking about. That if Mr. Manish Sisodiya had joined the BJP, or had if Mr. Satinder Jain had joined the BJP, possibly he wouldn't be facing this music. So I think with regard to Mr. Sisodia, I guess there is a slightly bigger problem for the BJP, because unlike a whole lot of the other leaders who have been targeted similarly or been arrested, etc., similarly, Mr. Sisodia's public image is slightly different because of the Delhi model of education, because of his larger engagement with the people, at least in Delhi. People outside of Delhi may not know as much about Mr. Sisodia as a person and as an administrator beyond the talk of the Delhi model of education. But in Delhi, there is a certain perception that one holds. Now, I just want to quickly summarize. Mr. Rana talked about denial of bail being a matter of the courts. I completely agree that it is the courts that deny bail. But then anyone with any understanding of jurisprudence of how the courts functions would also know, and the investigative agencies, there are, when you move for bail, or when a bail is denied, there are certain parameters that one has to look at. There are major question marks today on whether those parameters are followed. When you ask for custody, you are supposed to prove three basic things in a court of law. One, that the person you are asking for custody is a flight risk. 2, he's going to run away. He may be absconding.
Right.
3, he does not cooperate in an ongoing investigation or can influence an ongoing investigation. Now, here again, the case of Mr. Sisodia particularly is slightly different. Mr. Sisodia may be holding additional charge of the home portfolio. He may be holding charge of the excise ministry, but neither the CBI, which is investigating the case, nor the Delhi police is under him. How does he tamper with the evidence when you've already done all the seizures and you're saying, yes, that phones have been lost or phones have been changed, etc. But that, I assume, the CBI is saying after it has done most of its collection of evidence, because Mr. Rana pointed out that a whole sequence of events has followed from 22nd of July onwards. Absolutely. Of collecting and, So, secondly, he is, after all, Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi. You really want people to believe that the Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi is just going to get up and run away?
No, that's interesting points you've made, Puneet, but that brings me to a larger question, and which I'm going to come to Raji now. Raji, do you think that the BJP is really rattled over the fact that they have got Delhi horribly wrong as far as the governance is concerned, as far as the political footprint is concerned, except for Lok Sabha MPs. But otherwise, they've not been able to intrude into the state pockets. So do you think that the BJP is really worried for that, and especially the kind of acrimony which was played out during the MCD elections? All that is a culmination of all what we are seeing right now?
Of course, Neelu, you're spot on this. Absolutely. I mean, if you even sort of look back a little bit, the backdrop, in the Northeast Delhi riots took place. There was soon after the Aam Aadmi Party gets elected. So the whole atmosphere is sort of vitiated in the city, okay, and this situation sort of explodes. And then you have the MCD fracas playing out in the open, and it was so clear that the BJP just couldn't swallow the fact that it had lost the elections, and therefore that fight for the standing committee, the members of it was really bad. I mean, for instance, you had a female mayor and how she was sort of treated. It was all there out to see, whatever. There was no defense, which I think the councillors from the BJP really had for that. And I think it was quite clear who had sort of started it, how it all, the whole fisticuffs. Yes, there was some counter reaction, etc. But then the genesis of the whole thing, it was quite amply clear. So I think it's this. I think it's this. I think as a political party, it should not resort to such things. As a let's say like a mature political party, it should not resort to such extreme measures of let's say, of course, political vendetta is one aspect of it. So it doesn't really put it in a very flattering light and now I mean everybody seems to be talking in such terms that this government favors cronies. There's a certain language that has now sort of emerged also in public discourse, whether the BJP in fact may like it or not. It is there that it favors certain cronies whose names begin with A probably, and then we have this entire thing about that it sort of gets after its political opponents in a very, very discerning manner.
Okay, so you clearly laid out the political reality of the times, and Chandra, I'm going to come to you now, and we have very little time left for the show also. But do you see any semblance of opposition unity on this particular pretext? Earlier, we haven't seen too much of unity because Aam Aadmi Party was seen majorly as going solo, and very few parties were siding with the Aam Aadmi Party. But now, since you have support of, Manish Sisodiya apparently has support from Trinamool, BRS, Shiv Sena has also reached out, Akhilesh Yadav has reached out. So are you hopeful that maybe this particular incident may emerge as some kind of an opposition unity by which you would be ready to counter Congress?
I don't think it's too early to say that whether they will all, opposition unity in the sense to contest elections. But yes, certainly on this issue, they have come together. And one of the reasons is also that many of the opposition parties which are reaching out to the Aam Aadmi Party have also been at the receiving end of the investigation agencies, rightly or wrongly, whatever. So to that extent, there is an attempt to kind of come together and fight it out together. But I don't know. I mean, possibly it's too early to say how that will transcend this particular issue and go on to for a larger coalition or some such thing for the elections in 2024, or maybe even the assembly elections coming up. It's too early to say that whether it'll go forward. But can I also just come to another small issue which I think is happening, and which I pointed out at earlier, that this is part of a larger game plan to encircle the Aam Aadmi Party. Now you see what is happening in Punjab. It is at the receiving end from the governor. The governor is putting several roadblocks in the functioning of the Bhagwant Mann government over there, to the extent that he has even written to the chief minister saying that I will not convene a session of the assembly for certain reasons. There are issues. Now that again is a kind of a constitutional issue. What will happen? Well, whether the assembly. So these are attempts to discredit the Aam Aadmi Party government, and then of course the Khalistan,
If the BJP
the
continues to
problem is
discredit
coming
Aam
up.
Aadmi Party, so you will continue. I'll come to you, Puneet. So you will continue to play the victim card for as many days as Sisodia is
No,
in the jail.
it's unfair to say that the Aam Aadmi Party will play a victim card. If it is a victim, then it is a victim, and what we are seeing is that it is being encircled from several sides. There
Okay,
are so
fair
many
enough.
things which are
Yes.
happening,
Huh.
and I think that where the Punjab security issue is concerned, the BJP should behave responsibly and reach out and help the Aam Aadmi Party government in Punjab to deal with a national crisis, because it's an emerging national
Okay.
crisis.
Yeah.
It's not just something which a state government can handle on its own.
Right.
This is
Okay.
something which the central
Fine.
agencies also.
Puneet was raising his hand. Yes, Puneet, very quickly. And for the last comments, and I come to Sanjay. Yeah. Yeah, Puneet.
Just wanted to say two things. One, that with regard to this particular case and your question of opposition unity, I think there is a major lesson for the Aam Aadmi Party to learn in over here right now, and it'll be to their credit if they do, because whenever there have been very major, pressing, crucial issues, whether they are social issues or political issues, on which there should have ideally been a consensus. It is the Aam Aadmi Party that has either taken a very wishy-washy position or it has, bailed out. Their excuses, their reasons, or their rationale may be different for each, but they have not, stood there and joined the ranks of the opposition with that kind of determination as one would have expected them to.
Right.
When similar cases were faced by other leaders of opposition, we never really saw the Aam Aadmi Party coming out, and maybe some stray instances here and there, but we never saw a statement from Mr. Kejriwal or from Mr. Sisodia saying that what is happening to, say, a Rahul or a Rahul Gandhi or a Sanjay Raut or a Sonia Gandhi or n number of others is something that shouldn't be happening. So I mean, if their expectation is that the others are going to stand with them, they need to also learn to reciprocate. The second point also is, let this not be a ground for the Aam Aadmi Party to brush aside and gloss over failures of their own government, whether in Delhi or in Punjab. If there are wrongdoings, if there are lapses, those lapses also need to be admitted to. The situation in Punjab is particularly bad at the moment, especially with regard to law and order, and that is not a state where the police is under the center. So there are a lot of issues where the Aam Aadmi Party also needs to come clean and also needs to make to say that yes, there are lapses. We are going to address these lapses instead of saying that we are the real challenger to the BJP and that is why we are being targeted. I don't think that would be in the interest of the Aam Aadmi Party or in the interest of the states that they are in power.
Yeah. For the last word now, Sanjay, I'll come to you and be very brief because we're really running short of time. But the point is that the kind of irregularities which you have alleged in the liquor policy, but then the larger game plan, which everybody has been alleging, is that you're trying to play a political game. Doesn't that really go to show that BJP, despite having a brute majority inside parliament and otherwise, you are the most insecure at this point of time? Why can't you give a level playing field to your opponents? Are you there out to completely annihilate them? You don't want to see any kind of opposition in the country.
Yes, Nilu, and before that, I would like to thank Mr. Puneet, because at least Puneet has mentioned about the facts. If Admi done any kind of, if they believe that anything is went wrong, obviously they have to correct it rather than playing a
One would
blame game.
expect
Number
the
one.
same of the BJP, Mr. Rana.
I'm coming to the point. Just hang on. Thank you very much. Okay. I was hearing one of my fellow colleague panelists. She was talking about extension of Mr. Sanjay Mishra. Please understand, extension giving an extension is a administrative prerogative, not a judicial prerogative. You need to understand what comes under judiciary, what's come under administrative. So government has all the rights to do it. Whatever they want, they can do it. Number one. Number two, when we talk about the liquor policy, do you know how many lapses are there? Obviously, manufacturer cannot do the distributor cannot do the retailing work.
But BJP
here,
has all the right to intervene in a state government's policy matter, right?
No. Agencies are different. No one. BJP is not doing good in Delhi. This is a different issue altogether. But no one is giving a right to do the fraud. If somebody is doing a wrong thing, obviously, investigation agency will come and catch hold the person whosoever or the government. Here, so many lapses are there. Forget about the revenue loss. I'm not talking about revenue loss. Everyone knows. Look at manufacturers doing retailing. Manufacturing are doing distribution. A lot of lapses. Look at the lapses, and number of lapses are there. And being a responsible
lapses we have discussed, Sanjay, but you didn't answer my question point blankly. Are your party is the most insecure at this point of time?
No ways. Do you think Manish Sisodiya is a national figure? Do you think is a big man who can change the era of Bharatiya Janata Party? If he's going to join the Bharatiya Janata Party, he will twist everything. No ways. He was struggling to win his own seat. What he will do? BJP is not at all insecure in this terms.
No, but if he was a nobody, you shouldn't have arrested him. You should have done
no. Please understand. No, Nilu. CBI is not arresting you, not arresting me, not arresting Mr. Akhilesh Yadav, who's Samajwadi Party, and keep on raising the voice. If you have done anything wrong, people will come and arrest you. Please understand. And there was something was wrong. That's why CBI has made the case and did an investigation, and finally they have arrested. And they do the investigation in the next 5 days' time. And it's there in the court, and we need to believe in the court. Please, simple as that. If court is not giving a bail to anyone, that means something is wrong. It's not in the hand of XYZ. It's very easy to pass the blame on anyone, any agency or judiciary or the government. But it's very difficult to accept the fact, yes, they were the culprits. Look at Sanjay Raut. Look at anyone who were in the jail. Why Mr. Home Minister, ex-Home Minister of Maharashtra has not yet come out? Who's holding him? Not BJP. Obviously, the judiciary.
We'll wait for March 4th to see how you can prove what you are saying about Manish Sisodiya. We'll wait and watch, and we'll leave it to
obviously the investigation agency will do.
Okay, we'll wait for the investigations, but there'll be a whole lot of questions again asked of you. But one appeal to the viewers who are watching this discussion: share this video as widely as you can. Subscribe to the channel and stay tuned to the Federal. Thank you so much, Sanjay Rana.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure having you on the program. Puneet and Raji, thank you so much. Thank you.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more interesting updates.